Hi. Uh, Today I'd like to talk about the timeline that I had referred to in previous videos. And before we get to that, I had reviewed some of the videos that I had uploaded to YouTube, and I noticed there were some errors. One example, when I refer to the container ships. By the way, that's a scenario proposed by Joel Rosenblum in uh, a book that he wrote. I believe it was called Jihad. I'm not sure. You can look it up. Anyway, I duplicated Los Angeles when I referred to the East Coast. I meant to say Washington D.C. Um, anyway, back to the timeline. The uh, the year 2012 is being talked about quite a bit, and it does play a role in the future that I'm seeing. It is a significant turning point. Um, I don't see it to be the worldwide destruction or cataclysmic event that's being portrayed um, by Hollywood or others. However, I'd like to share some scriptures with you. Um, I'll read one section. It's in Daniel chapter 9, and it's verse 24. And it's the 77s uh, that are pretty widely discussed and interpreted. I have a different spin on it. I'll read the scripture for you. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and for your set-apart city, to put an end to the transgression, to seal up sins, to cover crookedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophet, and to anoint the most set apart. Know then and understand, from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem, until Messiah the Prince, is 7 weeks and 62 weeks. It will be built again with streets and a trench, but in times of affliction. And after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off and have not, and the people of the coming prince shall destroy the city in the set-apart place. And the end of it is with a flood, and wastes are decreed, and fighting until the end. And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, and in the middle of the week he shall put an end to slaughtering and meal offering. And on the wing of abominations he shall lay waste, even until the complete end of that which is decreed is poured out on the one who lays waste. It's very hard to understand. It's a very veiled prophecy, but I think I've discovered some inroads. Uh, the total number is 70, but it's broke down into two sections: 62 weeks and 7 weeks. And if I could describe what a prophetic week is, it's a period of 7 years. So 1 week is a 7-year period. What it states specifically, and once again, I like to categorize what I'm reading. It helps me to understand it better. So I make lists. What you have is 62 sevens, 7 sevens, and another 7. The final 7 that's described is broken midway through the 7. So in reality, it's a 3.5-year period. It's my belief that that final 7 is inclusive in the 7 sevens, and I'll explain why. So let's go back to the beginning. We have 62 sevens. That's 434 years, I believe. Yeah, I've written all this down, and I'm just going by memory right now. But the 62 sevens have already taken place. From the time of Daniel's writing, which was in the 4th century BC, 434 BC, I'm estimating. Usher is a biblical scholar that dates the book of Daniel at that time. And if you were to advance 434 years, which is the 62 sevens, from the time of Daniel's writing, the Messiah came. He appeared on earth, he taught, he was crucified, and resurrected. It then says he will be cut off and have not. So he died. His kingdom in physical was not established at that time. His spiritual kingdom was born. What we have left is another 7, which is another 7 years times 7, which is 49 years, which once again begins with the restoration and rebuilding of Jerusalem, just as the rebuilding of the temple under Nehemiah and the people came back from Babylonian captivity in Daniel's time. In 1947, the Jewish people returned to their homeland after 1900 years of diaspora. What led the world to that decree to reestablish them in Israel again were the mass holocausts and pogroms perpetrated on the Jewish people by the Russians and the Germans in Poland and Eastern Europe, and the annihilation of more than 6 million Jews. So in a sudden grip of conscience, the world determined that the Jewish people needed their homeland so they would be safe. However, when they returned to when they returned to Israel, they never captured Jerusalem in total. They had part of Jerusalem. And it wasn't till June of 1967, during the Six-Day War, that they were able to recapture all of Jerusalem. So what I believe the prophecy is stating is from the issuing of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Messiah comes is 49 years. So it's my understanding that 49 years from 1967 we will see the return of the Messiah in power. It's interesting that this also correlates with the year 5777 in the Hebrew calendar. Once again, I don't think that's happenstance. That's when I see the Messiah returning. I don't claim to know the day or the hour, but I do believe we can pin it down to a year, if my calculations are correct. Now there is that 3.5 year period, which is part of that final 7, and I believe that is inclusive in that final 7-year period, because it has to take place prior to the return of the Messiah. During that period, the man of lawlessness reigns, the world government reigns. They are symbiotic, simultaneous reigns. It's not a 7-year period known as the Great Tribulation. I believe that's a fallacy. I believe it's a 3.5 year period. And if you were to back up 3.5 years from, let's say, 2016, 2017, it would place you at 2012 for the beginning of their reign, 2012, 2013. And it would make sense from the perspective of my belief that the United States is removed from the picture, which allows this European world government to formate. So that's some more stuff. I'll try to get back with some more. This is pretty difficult for me. I'm not a preacher, but I have some things that I've been compelled to share, and I felt that I had to do it. So chew on the meat and spit out the bones.